You're listening to Entrepreneur Encounter, the podcast where soft skills meet real talk for creative business owners who are building with purpose. I'm Dana, a Pinterest marketing strategist and agency owner helping wedding pros and creative entrepreneurs get seen without burning out.
And I'm Sarah, a business and team strategist who helps small teams and podcasters communicate clearly, lead with empathy, and grow sustainably. Together, we're unpacking the messy, meaningful side of entrepreneurship, from boundaries to burnout, leadership to listening, so you can build a business that actually fits your life. You ever feel like it's one of those weeks where everything feels like we're putting out fires, trying to figure out we got all these urgent things we think are urgent, but are kind of not.
I mean, like every week, it feels like there's something up emergency-wise happening that probably could have been avoided in some way.
Exactly. You start the day thinking, okay, I'm finally going to get to this project I've been putting off. And then all of a sudden, someone emails you, something breaks, like software hiccups, or a client needs something according to them, like right now. And then suddenly your whole day is gone.
The wild part is half of this, I feel like, while it may feel urgent, and I would never want to like downplay someone's stress or anxiety, but most of the time it's not urgent. It's just maybe even shocking or surprising, like, oh crap, this happened. What do I do when all we need to do is take like a pause, breathe, and reassess?
Yes. And that's what we're diving into today, how we accidentally keep ourselves stuck in this crisis mode, and how do we actually break the cycle?
Because sometimes, like I was hinting at, like we're the ones creating the chaos in our own minds, and we're trying to escape it when if we were to take that pause, realize like, and maybe it's not an emergency and it's important, but it's not put out a massive fire.
Exactly. Well, we're so glad that you are tuning in today. Before we get into today's topic, don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode.
Because we've got new conversations every week designed to help you build a business that works for you and not one that burns you out on a weekly basis.
Yeah, definitely. We don't want to do that. Dana, I have to start with this little confession. I realized last week I've been living in my inbox instead of my project management tool or my calendar to see like what is actually going on.
The email, your inbox is a black hole. I swear. It's like playing whack-a-mole with other people's priorities. Like every time you get an inbox, or if I wake up and I think, I don't know what to do today. And then instead of going to my project management tool or my to-do list that I wrote like the night before, if I just, for whatever reason, don't look at it and I go into my inbox first, it is the biggest time suck and pulls me away from my productivity so much, because then I will be doing other things that on paper, yes, are productive, but they're not more important than the things that I had scheduled to do today. And now the rest of my week is off.
Yeah, definitely. I don't enjoy that. Like I want to get my tasks done. Like I created this to-do list for a reason, and, working on my business or working on my client's work or whatever that I'm working on, going back to like setting the boundaries, you have to like say, hey, I want to be productive today. Let's say I want to check my email maybe once today, and that is it. That could be like a to-do in your list and not being in your inbox all day.
That might be helpful, actually. I think stuff like that helps revert out of that crisis mode with those clear priorities. So like I have it in my SOP. I now have it in my welcome packet. So it's client facing and internal, that we have clear priorities and boundaries on here's my office hours. Here's when I work on certain things. And here's an expectation of a timeline of, okay, we sign our contract. I'm not going to create pin content tomorrow. Like there is a process leading into it. And it does take 2 to 3 weeks because Some clients are on the ball and they want to give me all their stuff immediately, like the same day or within the next day. Others take a few days. And so I create that buffer. So no matter who I have, it remains relatively the same process.
Exactly. Those buffers, you definitely need those. And I started to realize that, like, okay, so depending on what I'm working on is probably dependent on when I do X, Y, or Z, like checking your email. Okay, so like if I'm working on podcast operations and somebody's having to send me files, I need to be in my inbox. But knowing that, okay, maybe this is not happening today, I don't really necessarily need to do this. So trying to figure out like where you want to set your priorities, like how do you determine what is urgent and what is not? You know, we got to figure out the difference, because once you know that difference, things can change.
Yes. So urgent is what screams the loudest. Important is what actually moves the needle in your business forward. So urgent things are going to demand your attention right now. It's something that cannot be put off. Important things build your business long term, like setting up your systems, those workflows, those standard operating procedures or playbooks, if that's what you call them, the nurturing client relationships, creating content that compounds. And most of us get stuck putting out what feels like a fire, never realizing we're the ones lighting them.
Oh yeah, I mean, if you really think about a fire is supposed to keep you warm and cozy, like not like oh no, like I got to put out this fire because this is urgent. I mean, yeah. So we say yes to every last minute request, or we don't plan ahead, or we avoid the hard decisions, and that's what makes things feel urgent. Because, like you said, Dana, like you're not creating the systems to making sure that the workflows are set up, because if you plan ahead, putting out those fires should be non-existent in a sense.
And that is speaking like to my planner heart. Like not planning ahead makes everything urgent because you have no idea what's going on. You don't know where anything is. I used to do that all the time. I won't even lie. I used to do it all the time, especially when I was trying to prove that I could handle it. And I still have those issues today. And thankfully I have a community that like helps me step outside of myself. But saying yes to everything, or just living in my inbox and not taking the time to write down how to do a process, how to onboard a client the same way every single time, it actually kept me from doing the important work. And my laptop, literally, like I've mentioned before, has been an extension of my arm. And going into a co-working space, the more networking calls I do, I see that it's such a common issue. And it feels, or it's masked like, oh, I want to be helpful and I want to be responsive to my clients and show them I care, but that's not sustainable. And anyone who expects you to drop everything at the drop of a hat because something they couldn't log into a platform or something, it's not sustainable. Like, not at all.
Exactly. And I think this is another thing that would help as well when it comes to trying to figure out like what's urgent versus not and getting out of the crisis mode is delegation. Because I know a lot of the times, as solo business owners, we're doing everything. We're wearing all the hats. We're not asking for help and all of the things. But what I've started to realize since the beginning of time when I started working is that you have certain roles in a business in whatever industry that you're in. And somebody is laying that foundation. Somebody is like client facing. And again, there's so many aspects to your business, all the roles. And it's so funny. I said this the other day to somebody, one of my clients, and I said, yeah, I'll do the grunt work. I mean, grunt work, people think it's like the boring part of your business, but to do the mundane tasks, like I love doing all the behind the scenes operations, business management, because without that stuff, your business is not going to be able to run the way that you want it to run. And so when you delegate out, you have somebody that's helping you lay that foundation and do the mundane grunt work that nobody else wants to do, but it's going to help you in the long run. So you're not having to feel like everything's urgent because you have somebody else taking care of that stuff.
I think it allows you to step into the more leadership role that many of us envision when we start the business and we're so excited, and allows us to stop reacting so much. And so, yeah, it's a very freeing moment to like, oh my gosh, I don't have to react to every single thing. Like it doesn't have to bother me. So let's dive into a few things that have helped us stay out of this crisis mode, however long it lasts. So the first one is the Eisenhower matrix. If you've ever used this, it's basically a fancy way of saying separate what's urgent from what's important. You make 4 boxes, urgent and important. You're going to handle it right now. Important, but not urgent. You can schedule it on your calendar or in your project management tool to handle later. This is quite literally my favorite thing to do. Then there's urgent, but not important, which means you can delegate it to someone else on your team. You can maybe figure out how to automate this process so you never have to do it again, manually at least. And then there's lastly, not urgent and not important. You just delete it. If it's not serving you, your business, your family, your life, your season, either put it in a Google Doc to look at the next time you're brainstorming upcoming quarters, or delete it altogether and completely take it out of your brain space. Like I said, I try to live in box number 2 because I have found that's where long-term growth happens. I try to plan so far ahead that I minimize a lot of urgent and important things. They do pop up, but when I only have maybe 1 or 2 a week, it is significantly less overwhelming, and everything else is in, I don't even want to say balance, but in more harmony, whether it's work related, fam related, wifely related, just me as a person. And then I schedule everything else out. And I am right now in the process of doing that. I switched from so many project management tools, but I'm back on ClickUp, and I'm building that out into a process because what the workflows and the project management templates that I had created for my business were all designed for operations management, virtual assisting, admin. And while some things kind of related to what I'm doing now as a Pinterest manager, it wasn't exact, and I couldn't just carbon copy it over and make it work. So I had to take, over the summer, a big step back, which was kind of scary, but start scheduling out time to build important but non-urgent things out so that as I got new clients, as I started to grow, the foundation was already set in a way that I could more easily turnkey over training manuals, recording how I'm going to do it, and it wasn't as stressful, or it won't be as stressful.
Another strategy that definitely helps is building out buffer days, or even a buffer hours. So what I mean by this, because I would, for the longest time, I kept scheduling meetings at 8:30 in the morning. So I would drop the kids off at school and then get home and rush to my 8:30 in the morning. And I did not like that. And then I was like, how can I fix this? And knowing that I am in control, so I was able to say, okay, I'm going to start my meetings at 10 o'clock. And when you have meetings, and I've noticed this time and time again, working in corporate, working for myself, is that back-to-back anything can lead to burnout and feel like you're going to pull your hair out because, so let's say that you're on a call for an hour and then you literally have a call right after that. You have no buffer. You want to get up and get a snack, use the bathroom, go outside, get some fresh air. But building buffers is going to help your sanity, especially you can do that with your whole schedule for the whole week. Okay, I'm going to block out this time for these tasks, and then I'm going to block out this time for me not to do anything. So you don't want to have to feel like your day has to be packed, because it doesn't. It's not necessarily having to do less, but it's going to help you create the plan, maybe catch up on some things and breathe so that you're not feeling like you're constantly doing things.
I think buffers for me allowed me to have the fun again in my business, if that makes sense. I did have to learn the hard way like you said, 8:30 meetings. I was trying to have like 4 or 5 meetings in a day. And I was like, well, I like talking to people. That's great. That is not great for me. It was hard for me to go from talking to people mode, which does require a lot of energy, to client work mode, which also requires a lot of energy, but it's a different type of focus. So bouncing between the two was very difficult. And then by the end of the day, I was so drained. Like, I didn't even want to talk to anybody. I didn't want to interact with anybody. I mean, I hung out with my kids, but I was just like, can we just sit on the couch and hang out? Not let's go to the park and play. And I have very active children. So like that was not an option for them. And that's fine. So buffers became like, it wouldn't necessarily give me a whole day, but I have pockets of buffer time now that allow me that maintenance, internal maintenance, to check in with myself, not think about something specific. Like most of my creative ideas for this podcast, my business, or anything else that I'm doing have always come in those buffer moments where I'm just like walking around, doing nothing, letting my brain just wander. Another strategy, another big shift was redefining responsiveness. So realizing that I was being responsive doesn't mean I need to respond immediately. Like when I tell you my phone buzzes every like 10 seconds, it genuinely buzzes every 10 seconds. And my husband doesn't even want to hold my phone anymore. Like he put it in his pocket. I don't know what we were doing, but he was like, hey, I'll hold your phone for you. And he put it in his pocket. He was like, take this back. Because it was constantly going off because I was trying to be available 24/7 and dependable, whether that was a potential client or networking, like referral partner, and responding to their message on social media, to responding to emails, working on a client task. Like I had to start telling people, not just telling, but living it. I will respond within 24 hours. And no one freaked out. Hallelujah. But setting that boundary has felt like more of a form of leadership because I'm able to, one, essentially stand up for myself. Like, hey, I'm allowed to have a break. I'm allowed to. It's like a wedding planner. Everyone expects the wedding planner on the day of an event to like go, go, go from the time she shows up to the time everyone's gone. And I'm like, that's unsustainable. It was built into my contract. I am allowed to take, one, I'm required a meal. And two, I'm allowed to eat my meal sitting down. Like that was a boundary that I had to like really set. And you'd be amazed how many couples like just don't even think about that. That's a whole nother episode topic. But those boundaries allow you to stay in that leadership role because you're not responding at the drop of a hat. I don't like living like that. And when I ask a question to my husband or to my kids or someone at the co-working space, I don't expect them to like answer as before I even close my mouth, like that urgent, that responsive. Like I allow them time to think and to hear what I said to actually understand and respond, not to hear and react. If I'm going to do that to someone in person, I need to also do that by inbox.
Don't you realize that like when you're saying like setting those boundaries, don't expect somebody to say something right as you're not even done. You need to process something. Like everybody's brain works differently and maybe they're, processing what you said. And I've seen this happen where people are like, wait a minute, you're not going to respond. I just said something to you. But no, like allow that time. And I remember when maybe my first year of business, I was on my phone responding to my clients all the time, email, Slack. I'm like, this is not healthy. And then if you don't set that tone, they're going to take advantage of that. Like you are in control. So I'm not going to respond to your text until tomorrow because it's 6:00 at night right now. Like, no, I'm not doing that.
If anything, what I've learned to do, because with me and like, I know I might forget, like I can leave it unread, I can put it in a folder. But if I'm already like in the mindset, like I have nothing else going on, like my kids are already asleep and I just happen to see it, I'll go ahead and type a response, but I will schedule it to go out the following day during my normal business hours. So yes, I technically responded, but they don't know. And they still front facing are seeing and living the boundaries. Like, here's my communication hours. Hey, I saw your email last night, even though I'm typing it right now, blah, blah, blah. Here's my answer, but I get to send it during a time. So it just re-solidifies. This is how we communicate. This is how I do my best work. And this is what you hired me to do. So, all right, let's move on from these things and give you that unsolicited advice of the week. And that is stop saying yes before you've checked your calendar. And this is me calling myself out. So, and if my assistant is listening to this episode, she's probably laughing and rolling her head off because when she was brought on, my calendar was a hot mess. And I told her that I like directly was like, don't let me schedule anything anymore. So typically if I get someone sends me a link and they want to chit chat, I say, let me have my assistant schedule that for you. And that one line has saved me so much stress. And when we have our weekly meetings, our weekly L10 meetings, like that's one of the things that we see if is it on track? Is it off track? Is it still vibing with this season of life? Like over the summer, my kids were out of school, so that season looked different. And then school started. And so I had a little bit more normalcy of when I could meet. But now soccer season has started for 3 of the 5 children. And so it's not as bad as, you know, summertime, but I still need to get like other things done before we go and we're gone for soccer 2 to 3 nights a week for 2 to 3 hours where I'm not home. Like we're not eating dinner at a normal time. We're eating it on the go. I'm having to entertain and all of the things. So saying either if you don't have an assistant, let me check and get back to you, or send me a scheduling link. If there's someone trying to say like, let's schedule something on demand, it's like hitting a pause on the potential chaos so that you have time to breathe and look and not just see, oh yeah, my calendar is wide open that day. What you may have forgotten or didn't look at is your personal calendar. See, do you have a doctor's appointment? Do you have soccer starting that day? Is there a PTO thing going on? Is something going on with your husband? Is there a workshop that you wanted to do and you just hadn't added it to your calendar yet? Like, give yourself a moment to genuinely look and not just quickly fire it off and go.
When you're talking about like, let's check, let me get back to you. That's exactly when it comes to, I think, like, you don't necessarily have the answer right then and there. That's the same thing. Like, let me get back to you. Like, if you have a client saying that, like, I need X, Y, and Z done or whatever it is, and instead of jumping in and say, yeah, let me get on that right now. No, like, take the time to figure it out before you say the yes, because if you're going to say yes to everything, you're just going to not be okay with yourself.
You're going to be burnt out, and you honestly might not even know why you're burnt out. And that's usually how it goes. At least it was for me. I constantly think, oh, I can get so much done in 15 minutes. When in reality, that 15-minute task takes me 45 minutes to an hour. Or I've said yes to so many things that I now have to start rescheduling. And again, there's just like that cycle continues because now I'm rescheduling on days that I'm already full, or, it's going to take longer for us to connect. And by then, who knows what's going to happen with this warm lead? Like, you just don't know. So if you've been living in crisis mode, here's your reminder. You're not behind. You're just busy with too many things. Some of them might be the right things, but some of them may be the wrong things. And you have to slow down and change something. And you have to change long enough and take a pause long enough to decide what actually matters. And that is going to change from season to season. Like I said, over the summer, we were just in survival mode. I wanted to keep my current clients happy. Like, we were marketing a little bit, but I didn't need to network because I did not have a quiet space. And I know I wouldn't be able to focus long enough to like really make a good impression. Unless it happened to be another mompreneur who understood 100%, it wasn't worth it for me to try to fit that stress in. School started and I decided, okay, this is what matters in this season. And now we're going into a holiday season and I'm going to review it again. I'm slowing down long enough to decide what matters to me in the next 2 to 3 months. And I'm going to make my schedule and my communication lines reflect that.
And that's a great thing to do because everything is constantly changing. My life has changed in the last month and I need to revamp some things on my end too. And that is okay. And I believe that, we have so many options and so many resources and so many ways that we can do certain things. So Whether you're looking to grow your visibility through Pinterest marketing or streamline your podcast operations and team management, we help business owners and creatives build sustainable systems that work for them, not against them. And all of our information is going to be in our show notes. Until next time.
Bye. Thanks for spending time with us today. If something in this episode gave you a fresh perspective, share it with a friend or send us a DM. We love hearing how these conversations land with you.
And if you're curious about how soft skills can support your next season of growth, we each have more resources to share.
You can find Dana on Instagram at danas.desk.nc for Pinterest strategy and intentional marketing.
And Sarah at URembert for team development, business leadership, and podcast support.
Until next time, keep leading with purpose
and growing with intention.